babe. Like, you gotta, everything went left. Like, he couldn't understand a word I said. Like, I'm like, how you doing? He like, I'm like, cause it was when the basketball games was, what was you know what I'm talking about? The end of the season. It's like the football Super Bowl. Yeah, the playoffs. Yeah, so we had beat-ups watching the playoffs. Man, so I'm like, who you going for? He like, I'm like, who? And he just nodding his head. I'm like, what is you nodding for? Like, what is really going on? But he couldn't understand me. So, who is that? Hey, Amber, babe. Girl, I don't work there no more. I got my other job back. That was on bullshit. But, where was I at?
You was talking about him, you were trying to talk to him, and he didn't even understand what you was talking
Oh,
about.
yeah, but he didn't understand shit I was talking about. So, I'm about to leave at this point. I'm like, I'm about to get up and go. Like, because you don't understand me. I'm like, I'll pay for your bill. I'll pay for my bill. You feel me? But I'm leaving. He started speaking complete English soon as I said I was leaving. This nigga like, who is this? Keisha Carter. Hey, y'all. This nigga like, no, don't go. I'm like, so where the fuck was this at when I was just asking you these questions? Man, so I don't know what I ate, but I ended up throwing up in the parking lot. So, then, like I said, he started speaking English then, so he like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay.
Hey! Hey! What's happening? Hey! Hey! You do that right now, though. Hey! What? Let me go. Hey!
Goodwin's victim and ex-girlfriend posted to social media several times before her death, sharing that she was afraid of her abuser, Goodwin. Now, the YWCA of Dayton is working to make sure that others like LaShonda Childs can be protected by law from their abusers.
He still has some life left to live.
29-year-old Trendell Goodwin will spend 18 years to life in jail for the murder of 17-year-old LaShonda Childs. He won't be considered for parole until 2038. But Child's mother, Nina, says this can never bring back her daughter.
My daughter no longer have a voice that we can hear.
But it never fully closed the wound. We still have a lot of information that we don't know what happened.
Before her death, LaShonda posted to social media about how scared she was of Goodwin, her ex-boyfriend. She even had a restraining order against him, but it didn't save her life.
When you have that really, really high risk of violence and death, sometimes it's still not enough.
For YWCA Grant and Advocacy Manager Sarah Wolfknight, this story is all too common.
Unfortunately, LaShonda's situation was not unique, and that many women every day in this country are killed in domestic violence situations because there are firearms present. So we're working really closely with our legislators.
Child's family says they'll have to carry on as best they can, but they'll never forget LaShonda.
Just trying to move on, live a normal life, you know. We still think about it all the time.
The YWCA of Dayton has several programs and services to help victims of domestic violence. If you are in need of help, call their hotline at 222-SAFE. In Dayton, Aaliyah Williamson, 2 News, working for you.
On Tuesday night, October 2nd, 2018, during the late evening hours, a series of events began in Dayton, Ohio, that would end less than 24 hours later with the death of a 17-year-old girl named LaShonda Childs. That night did not begin with police lights or hospital alarms. It began with movement. A car, a street, a decision to leave one place and go to another. LaShonda was inside a vehicle with her current boyfriend. They were not alone for long. At the same time, not far away, someone from LaShonda's past was nearby. Trendell Goodwin, her former boyfriend, was present in the area. Their relationship had already ended. Contact between them had continued. That contact had not stopped. As the night continued, words were exchanged. The situation changed quickly. What started as an encounter became an argument. The argument did not stay verbal. The car became the center of the moment. Inside the vehicle, LaShonda made a call. The call went to emergency services. Her voice was recorded. The dispatcher listened. The line stayed open. What was happening inside and around the car was now being documented in real time. The vehicle attempted to leave. The engine started. The car moved. The distance between people changed, but not enough. A gun was present. One shot was fired. The sound ended the movement. The bullet entered the car. LaShonda was hit in the head. The call to 911 was still active. Emergency responders were sent to the scene. The location was secured. LaShonda was transported to a hospital. Medical staff worked through the night. The injury was severe. There was no improvement. In the early hours of the next day, October 3rd, 2018, LaShonda Childs was pronounced dead. She was 2 days away from her 18th birthday. After the shooting, police began their investigation immediately. Witness statements were collected. The 911 recording was reviewed. Physical evidence was processed. Trendell Goodwin was identified as the shooter and taken into custody. As investigators worked backward, they found a pattern. The relationship between LaShonda and Goodwin had ended, but contact had continued. There were signs of control. There were signs of monitoring. There were warnings posted by LaShonda herself on social media about abusive behavior. These details did not change what happened that Tuesday night, but they explain how it reached that point. Charges were filed.
Complaint, enter a not guilty plea, and request preliminary hearing.
I have case 18 CRA 6365, State of Ohio versus Mr. Goodwin. Case is currently scheduled for a preliminary hearing on October the 12th of this year at 3:30 in the afternoon in courtroom 4B. Did you wish to be heard with regard to a matter of bond this time?
Your Honor, just that Mr. Goodwin is a lifelong resident of this community. In light of the allegations, we would ask the court just to set the minimum bond necessary to secure his appearance pending the next court date.
Court hearings followed. Goodwin later pleaded guilty to murder and related charges. A judge sentenced him to 18 years to life in prison. This case did not unfold over months. It unfolded in minutes. A short encounter, a short drive, one decision, one shot. This is the true crime story of LaShonda Childs, beginning with the night everything stopped and ending with the facts that followed. Hello, welcome to Spotlight Crime, where every case holds a hidden truth. Here, we bring you real-life true crime stories, from shocking murders and mysterious disappearances to dark relationship crimes and investigations that leave more questions than answers. Subscribe and turn on notifications for intense weekly uploads that shine a light into the darkest corners of human behavior. Now, let's begin. LaShonda Childs was a 17-year-old high school student living in Dayton, Ohio. At the time of the case, she was still enrolled in school and balancing academic responsibilities with social life. Her age placed her close to legal adulthood, a stage where teenagers often experience more freedom while still lacking full adult protections. She lived within a residential community and followed a routine centered on school attendance, time at home, and interaction with friends. Her daily lifestyle involved predictable movements and familiar environments rather than isolated settings. This identification is important because it establishes that the victim was a minor navigating the final phase of adolescence. How often do serious crimes involve teenagers close to adulthood? LaShonda grew up in Dayton and spent her childhood in an urban environment surrounded by family members, classmates, and neighbors. Her upbringing did not include publicly documented criminal activity or major disruptions.
That's okay. I'm like, hey, I might send that boy to hell. What's up with it, y'all? This thing take too fucking long. What's up with it, viewers? It ain't showing me who joined.
School played a central role in her life, providing structure through classes, assignments, and regular schedules. Socially, she interacted with peers her age and maintained friendships common to teenage life. She used online platforms to communicate and express opinions, which reflected habits typical for her generation.
Hey, Marmor. What's up with it, y'all? Text me, Coochie. Or FaceTime me or something, because, yeah, we need to chop it up. Let's go eat. Come on. I'll pay. Well, not your way. What's up, viewers? I need to get dressed. I just paid my dogs. They be on a whole bunch of gang shit. I'm just like, you know, I was going out your way. What's up, Mike? Hey, Rico, baby.
Her activities included attending school, spending time on her phone,
Yes, we live, baby.
What's poppin', y'all?
We live, baby. Fresh out the beds. I don't know this song. We gotta change it. But yes, sis. Oh, G-Ski. Girl, you know.
and engage with others both in person and digitally. These details show a background consistent with many teenagers approaching adulthood. During her teenage years, LaShonda met Trendell Goodwin, an adult significantly older than her. Their interaction began through communication that developed into a personal relationship. At the time, LaShonda was under 18 and still in high school, while Goodwin was already in his late 20s. This difference meant each person was at a different stage of life, with unequal levels of independence and experience. The relationship progressed over a period of time and became part of LaShonda's daily routine. Although the length of the relationship was limited, its intensity and structure later became relevant during the investigation. Does a large age gap increase power imbalance in relationships? The relationship eventually ended, but the separation did not result in complete distance. After the breakup, communication continued through messages, calls, and awareness of daily movements. LaShonda attempted to move forward by maintaining her routine and focusing on school and social connections. She made efforts to create space between herself and her former partner, but these efforts were not fully effective. Evidence later showed that monitoring and control remained present even after the relationship ended. This ongoing contact meant that the breakup existed in name, but did not fully remove influence from her life. Before the incident, several warning indicators appeared. LaShonda used social media to post about unhealthy relationships, abuse, and control. These posts were public and visible to people in her social circle.
Yeah, I understand shit I was talking about. So, I'm about to leave at this point. I'm like, I'm about to get up and go. Like, because you don't understand me. I'm like, I'll pay for your bill. I'll pay for my bill. You feel me? But I'm leaving. He started speaking complete English soon as I said I was leaving. This nigga like, who is this? Keisha Carter. Hey, y'all. This nigga like, no, don't go. I'm like, so where the fuck was this at when I was just asking you these questions? Man. So, I don't know what I ate, but I ended up throwing up in the parking lot. So, like I said, he started speaking English then, so he like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay.
She also made statements to others expressing concern about being watched or followed. Alongside these statements, changes in her behavior were observed, including increased caution about where she went and who she spent time with. These signs suggested ongoing concern rather than a resolved situation. Although no formal legal action occurred at the time, these warnings later became part of the documented timeline. When someone speaks publicly about danger, who is responsible for acting? As these warning signs accumulated, LaShonda continued her daily life as a student. She attended classes, stayed connected with friends, and relied on familiar routines. Her environment remained consistent, involving common locations such as school, residential areas, and local streets. Despite the presence of concerns, there was no clear intervention that fully separated her from past influences. The combination of age, continued contact, and unresolved boundaries created a situation where risk remained present even as she tried to move forward. In the months before the incident, LaShonda Childs began seeing someone new. This relationship marked a shift in her personal life and reflected an effort to move forward after her previous breakup. She spent more time with different people and adjusted how she organized her days. Her routine changed in noticeable ways, including where she went after school and who accompanied her during social activities. These adjustments created physical and social distance from her past and reduced direct interaction with her former partner. The change was not sudden, but it was consistent, showing an attempt to establish a separate path and limit contact connected to earlier issues. The incident occurred on Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018. Earlier that day, LaShonda followed a typical schedule that included school-related responsibilities and time spent communicating with others. There were no reported disruptions during the daytime hours. As evening approached, she left home and moved through familiar parts of Dayton. Her movements that night placed her in areas she had visited before. At some point during the late evening, the paths of LaShonda, her current boyfriend, and her former boyfriend converged within the same vicinity, setting the stage for the encounter that followed. LaShonda encountered Trendell Goodwin while she was with her new boyfriend. The meeting occurred unexpectedly and involved all three individuals in close proximity. Words were exchanged, and the interaction did not remain brief. The presence of her new partner added to the complexity of the situation. What began as a verbal exchange changed in intensity within a short period. The discussion did not resolve, and the circumstances shifted toward confrontation. The interaction moved from a chance meeting to an escalating situation that required immediate decisions from those involved. What points it outside help be called during a confrontation? During the encounter, LaShonda was inside a car with her current boyfriend. The vehicle served as a place of temporary safety and a means to leave the area. She remained seated inside, while others were outside or nearby. The positioning of the individuals placed the car at the center of the situation. The reason for being in the vehicle was to move away from the confrontation and create separation. As events unfolded, the car became the primary focus, with attention centered on whether it could depart without interference. At approximately 10:43 p.m., LaShonda placed a call to emergency services. The call was made to request assistance during the ongoing confrontation. A dispatcher answered and gathered information about the situation. The line remained open as events continued, allowing the dispatcher to hear portions of what was happening. The call was not brief and did not end immediately after connection. It served as a real-time record of the unfolding events and confirmed the help had been requested before the situation reached its final stage. Does calling emergency services always prevent violence? After the call was placed, an attempt was made to leave the area. The engine was started, and the vehicle began to move. The distance created was limited, and the separation was not complete. Despite the movement, the threat did not end. The attempt to drive away did not immediately remove those inside the car from danger. The situation continued as the vehicle moved only a short distance before events escalated further. These moments occur within a narrow time frame, connected to the decision to move on, the encounter that followed, and the attempt to leave. Each action was part of a sequence rather than an isolated event. The new relationship changed LaShonda's routine. The meeting brought unresolved issues into the open, and the effort to depart showed an attempt to avoid further confrontation. On the night of October 2nd, 2018, a firearm was present during a confrontation involving LaShonda Childs. Investigative findings confirmed that only one shot was fired. The bullet entered the vehicle where she was seated and struck her in the head. The discharge occurred during a brief window when the vehicle attempted to move away. The immediate result was a critical injury that required urgent medical attention, ending the encounter at the scene and triggering an emergency response. After the shot was fired, emergency services were dispatched without delay. Law enforcement officers arrived first to secure the location and control access to the area. Paramedics followed and assessed LaShonda's condition at the scene. She was stabilized for transport and moved by ambulance to a nearby hospital. The transition from street to medical care occurred quickly, with responders following established procedures to preserve evidence and prioritize treatment. Upon arrival at the hospital, LaShonda was taken directly to receive emergency care. Medical staff initiated standard trauma protocols, focusing on the head injury caused by the gunshot. Imaging and assessments were performed to determine the extent of damage. Her condition was classified as severe, and she was admitted for continued treatment. Hospital records later documented the steps taken during intake and early intervention. Over the following hours, doctors and nurses continued medical intervention. Treatment included monitoring vital signs, managing complications, and evaluating neurological status. Despite sustained efforts, there was no improvement in her condition. The duration of care extended through the night into the early morning. Clinical assessments consistently indicated that recovery was not occurring, and the injury remained incompatible with survival. In the early hours of October 3rd, 2018, LaShonda Childs was pronounced dead. The official time of death was recorded shortly after midnight. She was 2 days away from her 18th birthday. The confirmation marked the conclusion of medical treatment and initiated formal reporting procedures required in a homicide case. How often do crimes occur during moments of transition in life? Following the death confirmation, investigators expanded their work. Evidence was collected from the scene and the vehicle, including ballistic information and physical traces. Officers conducted interviews with witnesses who were present before and after the shooting. The 911 audio was reviewed to establish a precise timeline and corroborate statements. Trendell Goodwin was identified as a suspect. Investigators relied on witness accounts, recorded audio, and physical evidence to support this determination. He was taken into custody and charged in connection with the shooting. The investigation focused on verified facts and documented interactions, forming the basis for subsequent court proceedings. After LaShonda Childs was pronounced dead, law enforcement moved quickly to identify and locate the suspect. Trendell Goodwin was apprehended based on witness statements, physical evidence, and a review of the 911 recording. Officers took him into custody without delay and secured him in a detention facility. Authorities publicly announced the charges, which included murder and related firearm offenses. From that point forward, Goodwin remained under law enforcement supervision while investigators completed documentation and prepared the case for prosecution. Custody conditions followed standard procedures for a homicide suspect, with restrictions on movement and contact as the legal process began. Prosecutors presented the case to a grand jury, which returned an indictment outlining the formal charges. Pre-trial hearings followed, during which legal motions were filed and reviewed. These motions addressed procedural matters rather than disputing the core facts. Evidence collected during the investigation, including recorded calls and witness accounts, formed the foundation of the prosecution's case. Rather than proceeding to trial, Trendell Goodwin entered a guilty plea. This plea acknowledged responsibility for the charges and moved the case directly into the sentencing phase without further courtroom testimony. At sentencing, the court outlined the penalties required under state law. The judge imposed a prison term of 18 years to life, meaning Goodwin would serve a minimum period before becoming eligible for parole consideration. The ruling explained how the sentence aligned with statutory guidelines for violent offenses. The judge's decision concluded the judicial process and formally transferred responsibility for custody to the state correctional system. Do sentences reflect the full impact of violent crimes? Following sentencing, the case was reviewed through a reconstructed timeline. Investigators examined the sequence of events from the prior relationship through the night of the shooting. Key decisions were identified, including continued contact after the breakup and the moments leading to the final encounter. Analysts noted points where intervention might have altered the progression, such as clear boundaries or earlier legal action. The review focused on factual connections rather than speculation, emphasizing how multiple choices over time contributed to the outcome. The case received attention from local news outlets and later appeared in national true crime programming. Media coverage summarized the investigation, court proceedings, and sentencing. These reports introduced the case to a broader audience and placed it within ongoing discussions about relationship-related violence. Community response included conversations about safety, age differences in relationships, and accountability. Public exposure ensured the facts remained accessible and documented beyond the courtroom. Discussions that followed centered on prevention rather than punishment. Early warning signs, such as continued monitoring after a breakup and public statements about control, were identified as indicators that warrant attention. The role of law enforcement was examined in terms of responding to reports and establishing protective measures. Social platforms were also considered, as they often host early signals of risk shared by users. What systems should respond first when warning signs appear? This case concluded with a confirmed arrest, a guilty plea, and a life-range sentence. The documented timeline established how prior interactions, the final encounter, and judicial actions fit together. The legal process reached its end, but the broader implications remain open for analysis. Viewers are encouraged to think critically about the sequence of events, assess how warning signs were communicated, and consider points where different actions might have changed the direction. What moment in this timeline do you think could have changed the outcome? If this story has kept your attention, do not forget to like this video and share it with others. For more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind tragic events, subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay updated with our latest investigations, reports, and discussions. Thank you for joining us in the pursuit of truth and justice. Together, we can shed light where darkness remains. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.